Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of 9-year-old Anthonette Cayedito, who disappeared on April 6th of 1986 in the middle of the night from her home in Gallup, New Mexico. I've got the Wikipedia article in front of me, so let's go ahead and take a look. It says here that Cayedito disappeared from her home in Gallup, New Mexico in the early morning hours of April 6th of 1986. That evening, Cayedito's mother, Penny, had been out with friends at a local bar, and Antoinette, along with her younger sisters Wendy and Sadie, were with a babysitter. Penny arrived home around midnight and sent the babysitter home. The following morning, when Penny awoke to prepare the girls for Bible school, she realized Antoinette was not in her bedroom. After inquiring with neighbors, she phoned the police. So that was the original statement. Then, the police did not conduct an official search of the Cayedito home until 4 days after Antoinette's disappearance. There's no explanation for that, it just says that that's what happened. Penny told detectives that a man by the name of Emmanuel, nicknamed Emo, had given flowers to Antoinette 3 times in the days leading up to her disappearance, only mentioning it after a family member brought it up during the police search. Don't know if that's relevant, but that was brought up. And a man named Roger told detectives that around 3:30 a.m. he knocked on the door and a bedroom window of the Cayedito home. He claimed he was checking on Penny after they got into an argument at the bar. I assume during that evening. Roger said he left and spent the night at a friend's who lived down the street. Police confirmed his story with the homeowner. So there was at least one person knocking on their door around 3:30 a.m. Then, 5 years after her disappearance, Wendy, now age 10, gave her account of the events of the night for the first time. Wendy told detectives that there was a second knock on the door. Both of the girls were still awake, and Antoinette went to answer the door. When she asked who it was, the knocker identified himself as Uncle Joe. When she opened the door, she was grabbed by 2 men, kicking and screaming, "Let me go, let me go." The men forced her into a brown van. Wendy didn't recognize the men and she did not get a look at their faces. Wendy stated that she had not said anything at the time owing to a fear of upsetting her mother and of not being believed. Her sister Sadie had stated that she isn't sure a second knock happened, so there's a lot of confusion already. Penny Cayedito never mentioned a second knock at the door until 1994 when she was interviewed by the FBI. This is when her story drastically changed. Penny stated, "I told her to go ahead and answer it. I laid there for a period of time, maybe 30 minutes, and Antoinette never came back. I got up to see where she was, but I couldn't find her." Penny claimed that the knock happened between 3:30 and 4:30 a.m. She told the FBI that when she got up at about 30 minutes later, it was just getting light. This was a different story from her initial statement of waking up at about 7 a.m. and finding that Antoinette was missing. That same year, 1994, Penny Cayedito confessed to being involved in Antoinette's abduction. She stated, "What if me and Emo did this? Would we both go to prison?" Cayedito stated that she and Emo got together on a plan prior to Antoinette's disappearance. Cayedito stated that she wanted to know where the abduction would take place, but was told it was better that she did not know. Penny admitted to knowing who was coming to take Antoinette, as well as having told Antoinette to open the door. Although Penny confessed, and the FBI strongly believed that she was involved in Antoinette's abduction, she was never charged with her disappearance. Now, Penny herself died on April 18th, 1999 from a combination of liver cirrhosis and cardiac issues at age 46, so we're not going to be able to ask her any more questions. And it also doesn't really say why she would want her daughter to be abducted. So in her theories, it says, police interviewed an uncle who was married to Penny's sister, but declined to name him as a suspect. Investigators believe Cayedito may be deceased and that Penny Cayedito allowed her to be taken by Emmanuel. Theories range from her being either a victim of homicide or possibly human trafficking. The police stated that in 2016 they believe Penny may have had more information than she had given police concerning her daughter's disappearance, citing a failed lie detector test and confession. And then it goes into a series of alleged sightings, the youngest of which is from 1991, and after that I don't see anything else. Now, I think I would be amiss if I didn't mention that 1 year after Antoinette's disappearance, the Gallup Police Department received a frantic phone call. I also mentioned that in the short, but I'll go back to that one more time. The caller was a young girl who claimed to be Antoinette, saying that she was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Before the call could be traced, an angry adult voice was heard shouting, "Who said you could use the phone?" followed by the girl screaming and the sound of a scuffle, after which the phone call was cut off. Cayedito's mother, Penny, believed the voice to be her daughter's, but did not recognize the adult's voice. So if she was involved in this kidnapping, then either the people that took her were people that were not known to her, but perhaps known to Emmanuel, or she did recognize them and she just didn't want to say who it was. I don't really see anything here about questioning Emmanuel, whom she says she made a deal with I am sure that they probably did ask him some questions, but it doesn't actually say much about that here, or I'm overlooking it, but I don't see it right now. Either way, a lot of questions and not so much answers, and that is why we're going to do a reading on this case today. We're going to start off using the Crow Tarot deck, which is currently on the table. And for any further questions, moving on to the Deviant Moon deck, which is this one. As per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the deck. As soon as I have about a table full of cards, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we see here is the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and the 8 of Cups, and the 2 of Pentacles. Alright, let's grab them. So things are changing and not for the better, and we have a walking away sympathy over here, at least feeling like they need to walk away and try to balance resources. So this strikes me as there being financial hardships, and they're just kind of like, oh, things are just taking a turn for the worse, literally. I'd like to get out of this situation, but I need to be very careful with what I do next in order to make sure that I spend my resources the best way that I can. And then we have over here an argument with the 5 of Swords. It could be an internal argument, maybe just thinking over things, possibly trying to come up with some type of alternative measures to deal with their situation changing because of the 5 of Swords in reverse. And then we have the Star, and that I think is somebody standing out to them, possibly in a way that might look like a solution. Like the crow over there is supposed to be the star of the card, but I'm looking a lot at the little songbird in the top right, like almost like I've got the idea right here, this little bird is going to help me, like that type of thing. The solution is right there, or has been all along. So somebody, I think, focused on Anthonette to help deal with these issues. Now, the mother, of course, has already confessed, at least she claimed, that she had a plan with this Emmanuel. So maybe this is her having this issue. She just encountered issues with her finances and had spent some time thinking about it, and then decided that maybe Anthonette was the solution. We then see a King of Pentacles down here with a 10 of Pentacles and an 8 of Pentacles. Alright, so a lot of Pentacles energy on this second row. Actually, this one as well. Okay, so King of Pentacles over here, I think, is somebody who is supposed to help with this solution, I feel. Somebody whom is offering to help out with the resources, and is also promising quite a lot here. You see here the 10 of Pentacles, so that is like an inheritance type of situation, like just coming into the good money, having no worries, that type of thing. So I feel like this king, whether they were telling the truth or not, was really telling them a tale of riches in a way. But then we see here the 8 of Pentacles, which is in reverse. So normally the 8 of Pentacles is working very hard on something, being a craftsman, putting in all of the work and the effort, but it's in reverse right now. So maybe they were working against them somehow, or just really good at doing things that are not right, focusing on those things. So this could be them drawing up a plan for what they were going to do with Anthonette, or perhaps just they were working against the mother as well in the background, just not being very truthful and honest and open about what it is that the plan actually entailed, and possibly that these riches over here were nothing but a pipe dream. Because the next card that we have here is the Five of Pentacles. It's in reverse, so it's kind of like a bankruptcy as well. And then we have the Ace of Wands, which is also in reverse. So we're not only losing out, we're also doing things that are wrong for us. So this looks to me like they promised the mother that by sending off Anthonette, they would get rich, or at least be well comfortable, like almost like I have to give you this and then you give me that, like an honest trade type of thing. But then they ended up being fooled, and this just led to actions that they regretted afterwards. So possibly whatever it is that this King of Pentacles promised was not delivered, or at least not in the way that the mother was expecting. Seems as though. So let's move on though, because this is just a situation surrounding her, and let's see what happened to Anthonette herself. Knight of Cups. All right, so just like with other cases where kids disappear, we have somebody whom is very much focused on their own emotions and not so much the people around them. They may have wanted to do right, quote unquote, in a certain way, but not too concerned with the feelings of other people. So this might be somebody who is like the middleman, somebody who comes to actually do the pickup in this case and just tries to make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible, but ultimately they've got a job to do. And I imagine that somebody who does this type of work, if you could call it that, taking other people's kids to other destinations, you would have to close yourself off to a degree in order to be able to do that. If you were to be somebody who is empathetic, you wouldn't be able to do this type of job. So I think that's the type of person that we're dealing with. They aren't even of two minds. We see here the Two of Swords in reverse. I think they're single-mindedly focusing on the things that they were asked to do, and there may also have been some financial issues connected to that if they didn't do that, because this is the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Nine of Pentacles normally an individual wealth type of thing, so they may have had some issues with their own finances, like they were only doing this possibly because they themselves needed the money. They must have been really destitute though in order to stoop to something like that, or just being stuck in this type of world, I guess, where that's normal, or at least common. People tend to fall into the wrong crowds. Like maybe this is somebody who just doesn't have much of a choice in that regard, or at least doesn't see any other choices, and that's why they're very much focused on this and their own gains. So that's the person who came to collect persons, I believe, because the sister said there were two men at the door at night. Let's see, we have here a Knight of Pentacles. Okay, this may be the second person involved, and this one is in reverse, so they're working on the wrong thing as well. We have here the Three of Wands, so we're traveling, making plans for transport. It could be that this is a person who is in charge of actually planning out the organization of this trip for Anthonette, and they're the ones calling the shots. We have the Hermit here, and the Sun and the Hierophant. Okay, so the Hermit is in this case literally hiding from the world. They may also be hiding her from the world. And then we have the Sun over here that is usually also drawing attention. And I think that they delivered her to somebody whom is very much in control in that whole circle of people, so to speak. Like somebody whom is a leader, somebody whom they look up to, just a kingpin within this organization. They were dropped off with them, and probably the Anthonette made a good impression on them. Like they were very happy to see her, like, oh, this is going to be a good one for whomever is asking for a small girl. So this person then steps in, I guess, to determine what happens next. Okay, this one on the corner. 10 of Pentacles again. So I feel like this 10 of Pentacles we have more often in these types of readings. We see the person under the chessboard and there's a couple of people above that enjoying all the riches. I feel like this is representing in her case that she was delivered to whomever felt like they needed to have somebody else's small child, and those people were happy with the delivery, but of course she was suffering under it. So this is my people feeling like they've gained riches at her expense. So does also appear to be a male and a female, so probably a couple that got a hold of her. Let's see what happens after that. Two cards over here. The Devil, okay, and we have the Five of Swords again. Alright, so but this time the Five of Swords is upright, so now there is actual outward arguing between people. And we have the Devil here, which is also representing bondage, could also be addiction, some type of ties to something that's not good and that keeps people in their grip. So these people may also have had issues of their own and that they were also arguing with. I think she also argued with them quite a bit. So it looks like she was brought to a fairly dysfunctional group of people to stay with. They probably argued with themselves as much as they argued with her. So it's kind of like she's just put in a really bad place with them. I don't necessarily see violence, but we do see oppression there with that 10 of Pentacles and of course the Devil card that follows. So this seems like some type of servitude, which is, I guess, common for human trafficking. You just get brought to another location with other people that tell you what they want you to do, and you don't have much of a choice in that regard. So let's see what happens after that. Like, is she still alive? We have here the Nine of Cups. Okay, so I asked if she's still alive. We do have here the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is normally like feeling good within yourself. So she may have found some way to deal with the situation, some way to be herself and, I don't know, have some type of peace, I guess, with it. Let's see what else we can find, like what happened that led her to this situation. Okay, we're wrecking everything. Knight of Wands. Okay, Knight of Wands again. We had the Knight of Wands. No, we didn't. We have the Knight of Wands now. So this one is in reverse. Somebody who tends to act very rashly for the wrong reasons. She may have tried to act out a few times that didn't lead her to very good situations. That reminds me of the phone call that she made about a year after her disappearance. At least we assume that that's her because her mother says that it sounded like her. Her mother did not recognize the man on the other end of the line. So I'm guessing that's this one over here. Anyway, so we have some activity here that is negative and hurried as well, because the Knight of Wands is not wait. It could be on her end, because I'm reminded of the sightings that I read. There were like 3 sightings, I believe, that really stood out to me. 2 of them where somebody saw a girl in a pink dress and they kind of looked the same. So perhaps she was spotted by 2 different people wearing that same outfit. And then another one was many years after that, when she was, I think, a teen, if it was her, and this waitress noticed this girl with a disheveled looking couple, and she was constantly trying to draw attention by like dropping her cutlery on the floor, and then every time the waitress would come over to pick it up for her, and they would give her this really intense look. And then after the couple with the girl left, the waitress noticed that she had written "help me" on the other side of her napkin. So she has definitely been trying to reach out. It just didn't really lead to what she wanted. Ultimately, at least I don't believe anybody's ever really helped her out, because otherwise we would have heard about that. She would have told whomever saved her what her name was, where she was from, etc. So we didn't get that. But there were attempts made, at least, possibly to try and escape, draw attention, whatever she could do. Oh. Okay, there's a bunch on the floor. There's one over here and there's one over here. Let's do these two first. And I just want to keep knocking these cards over. Okay, here we have the 9 of Pentacles. Alright, so we may be in a decent situation here still. I'm drawing some pretty good cards as far as feelings and as resources go. So maybe she found some way to make it work for her, balancing things very carefully. We have here the 4 of Pentacles. Also noticing that they're fairly far away from the town there in the background, like maybe just trying to avoid civilization in general, at least avoid the people that might know her, possibly. Like that's kind of coming to mind, like she may have decided to just stay away for whatever reason. Gotta go get the cards that fell, hang on. So we have the Fool here who is in reverse, so that I feel is pointing towards somebody who is definitely not going to let people just take advantage of her. Like I think she wised up real fast, which I imagine you would have to do in order to survive in a situation like that. Smartened up really quick, decided to balance everything out for herself. This 9 of Cups I think is mostly her, like I said, just having peace with the situation, making it okay within her mind and her emotions, even though the external situation may not have been ideal. Far from it, probably. And then finding some way to deal with that. And we have here the 8 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, definitely not keeping herself trapped, at least not falling for the things that people were possibly telling her about herself. And just trying to stay out of those mindsets, possibly. Maybe she entrapped herself in another way, which led her to just not contacting the people from her past again. Possibly maybe adopting a whole new persona somehow. But the cards so far do seem to point towards her just finding some way to balance everything out for herself so that she could be okay. Let's see what else we can find. Oop. These cards really like to fall on the floor. 7 of Wands in reverse. Okay, so trying to avoid jealousy, trying to avoid, I guess, people coming for her, because that's what the 7 of Wands is normally about. Like the 6 of Wands is the hero that everybody cheers on, and then the 7 of Wands is kind of like people getting a little bit tired of this great goody-goody two-shoes, that type of person, and just trying to come for them. Which is usually something that happens as well with people who become famous in some way. Like initially there's a lot of supporters, and then as you get more and more traction, people start to come for you in all sorts of different ways. And I think she tried to avoid people coming for her by basically being smart about her actions, just doing all the things that would not draw too much attention, would not draw too much ire from the people around her. Just trying to coast along and not cause too many waves. Like, what is her life like then? This one, Justice in reverse. Okay, so we're not seeing Justice. I think that she is also realizing, obviously, that what was done to her was not right. But so far it looks as though she is not going to challenge it either. We have here the Knight of Swords. So, Knight of Swords. Here's the birdie again. Small yellow bird that we also had with this star. So, basically, she is just letting people talk, I guess, but I feel like this card is kind of pointing towards how people may be trying to convince her that this is okay, and she's just kind of not falling for it, because the reverse swords I often see as people lying and trying to manipulate. But I feel like with these cards that we've had so far, with this third row, I think this is her just being really smart about it and not falling for it, which you also kind of saw here with the 8 of Swords. I'm reminded also of the fact that she was a very smart girl, and she was very strong in her faith. I think that faith in particular has helped her a lot through those years. At least judging by these cards, it looks like it has. Okay. Page of Cups. Okay, so negative surprises, but perhaps also not a surprise because the page is in reverse, and then we have a Page of Pentacles. All right, so we are kind of possibly being slightly careless with our spending, at least spending in a hurry. Possibly our resources are not well spent most of the time. I think this is also kind of pointing towards just dealing with things that pop up as quickly as possible, just taking whatever option you think you have and then going with it. Like something happens and you just pick the quick and dirty way out of it, that type of thing. Like just deal with it right now, it doesn't matter what the consequences are, just deal with it, that type of thing. So she may have this habit of quickly throwing some resources at the problem, which then is quickly solved, but possibly comes back to bite her later down the line. But this may just have become a thing for her. She may have developed this habit of quickly knee-jerk reacting to things that need dealing with. She may not have had time to deal with things properly anyway. Okay, so are we ever going to find her? Is she ever going to make herself known? Whoops, okay. The star is kind of on its side. It is slightly turned up, so I'm going to put it upright for now. Then we have the Five of Pentacles again. So we're not in a great situation. We have here a King of Swords. I mean, it's pretty logical. There's a lot of anxiety here as well. And then we have a Knight of Wands. She may be concerned with somebody, possibly from her past. Like there might be somebody who she's afraid of running into, and that's really caused her a lot of concern. And there is here this Knight of Wands, this energy of just wanting to deal with things quickly, and she might be concerned that if she were to reveal herself, that somebody might start acting up. And this is something that is relating to a King of Swords. I think she's afraid of this person, and also possibly the reach that they may have. This may not be the people that were around her when she was still at her own parental home, but maybe somebody whom she encountered on the way to wherever she is now. Somebody who may be keeping an eye on her, even after all these years, to keep quiet about what happened. Maybe other things may be revealed that she doesn't want people to find out about. She might be concerned with that as well, because of course this card over here, the Five of Pentacles, has people staring at them from a little window there as they feel very much naked, alone, and exposed. So she may not want to step out where she is right now. And this Star card, even though the star is like a very bright focal point for a lot of people, I think it is also kind of pointing towards the just let me stay where I am. I know things aren't perfect, but it's like it's what I have, and that's just where I'm currently shining my light, and that's just what we're going to deal with, I feel, for the time being. So I think that she just doesn't really want to step out, because there may be consequences attached to that, and she may also just not want to have to deal with certain people or certain situations that she may have run away from in the past. So far the cards look as though she might still be out there, which I also believe is what her sister believes, but we might not be seeing anything of her, for at least for the time being. She's still afraid of somebody. If that were ever to change, if that person were ever to disappear or something, or perhaps they are probably older than she is, I imagine that they would die or earlier than her, maybe then. But for the time being, I feel like she's just going to stay where she is, have her life as it is now, because it's in the balance that she feels is currently the only thing that she has, and she doesn't want to disrupt that. It's kind of like you just managed to clean everything up, and then somebody decides that they want to go do something at your place, like have a party or something. You're like, just no, not now, because I've just got everything in order and I really don't need anybody coming in here to mess that up. So it's kind of like that. And that is what I'm seeing for Anthonette Cayedito. I hope you found that interesting. Be sure to leave a like and a comment. That really helps the channel along. Subscribing is also very much appreciated. If you have a case you would like me to do a reading on, make sure to put that in the Google form, the link to which you can find in the description below. It is completely anonymous, so I don't get any information on who submitted what, and it lets me know what you guys would want me to read next. So that is it for now. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in another video, and bye bye for now.